Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for this session of the agent development training. While our sales leaders and other agents are celebrating all of our accomplishments really in Texas. So I'm sure it's pretty hot there. They can have the heat. So thank you again for joining me. I'm just making sure we get other people in as they come in. Got one more coming in. So today I just wanted to share with you that this is a follow-up to live transfer discussion that we had last time, which I thought was really insightful. I am not the expert on live transfers by any means. Unless it has to deal with transferring bodies from one place to another. I can do that. But I appreciate everybody being on. And I want to say a special thanks, though, to Justin for hosting some of the call sessions. I think even if you've done live transfers in the past before, I think it's a great thing to have that insight from how others are doing it as well, and just listening in, and a chance to share with each other too. I know that also some of you have asked for the scripts that Silas shared last week, and we are fixing them up with some of the grammatics and making them look a little bit cleaner and more functional for you. So I apologize you don't have those yet, but you should have those yet this week, I'm hoping, but if not, early next week. It takes a while to create a document into a PDF when it has a fillable PDF, let me put it that way, when it has a lot of those fillable spaces, right? So appreciate that. But hey, so I see Justin is on. Thank you so much. And I think what I want to do today is, first of all, Justin held some sessions last week. And then in Indiana for our roundtable, he shared some insights about that. So Justin, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about what your experience was. And thank you to those who were able to participate in those sessions, and just give us some feedback on how that worked for you.
So the Zoom sessions, what I'm doing is I'm taking these live transfers through my Zoom phone number, and then transferring that to the Zoom meeting. So the agents that are on are able to hear the client and myself, and then I'm sharing my screen with the different, like the fact finder and the different things that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been some technical issues, but I think for the most part, it's working pretty well. Sounds like everybody's able to hear stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to talk about what these transfers have been like?
Yeah, so you had some last week. And by the way, this is going to be more of an open forum, open dialogue, you guys. So feel free to come off of mute and ask questions along the way. Like I said, I am not an expert in doing live transfers. It's not something I've ever done in my former career as a writing agent. And so I am learning this as well as some of you. So if this is where we help people do business, this is just another way to help build your business, right? And I think that's really important. So Justin, you shared that from last week, and I think you held a session today as well.
Yeah.
But from last week, how many calls came in? You did this on Thursday and Friday.
So in a 2-hour session, I tend to be getting like around 15 calls.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not winning all 15 of those calls. I'm winning anywhere from like 7 to 10 of those calls.
Okay.
So if you haven't done a live transfer session yet, the way this works is your phone will ring, you answer the call, and you have to hit 1
very fast, right?
in order to win that live transfer. If you don't answer the call and hit 1 fast enough, then you don't win the call. So this is where I've said that multitasking during a live transfer you're just not going to win as many calls, because you have to be actively watching that and ready for that call to come in. What happens a lot of times is the call may pop up on your phone or your screen before it rings, and by the time it rings, somebody else already snagged it. So as soon as that pops up, you want to answer it and hit 1 in order to
Have
win that
you,
call.
and I'm sorry to interrupt, have you saved that number coming in any way, like saying it's a live transfer call? So you saved it sort of in the caller ID that way, so
Yeah.
you know immediately when that phone rings, that's a live transfer. Boom, I had to hit 1.
Yeah, well, and my phone's not ringing off the hook anyway. Not a lot of people are calling me at this point. So pretty much every call coming in when I've got the live transfers turned on are live transfers.
Yeah, but it shows up though as like an 877 number, right?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
with the third party, there's a couple of different numbers from the third
okay.
party.
All
Um,
right. But is it
but
still, and maybe somebody else who's taken some third party also, feel free to jump in here. But I think, what I was thinking was, well, if I'm seeing an 877 number and I don't recognize it, I'm not going to answer that. Right.
right,
So
right.
that's why I thought, oh, that's a good tip. Let's save it as, oh, this is a live transfer. Let's make sure I save that phone number. And I think you might have several of those then, it sounds like, from the third party live transfers, because they're coming in at a different phone number.
Yeah, not a lot of different numbers. I think the third party, I've seen like 2 different numbers that they're coming from. So yeah, I save them. I designate that in my caller ID so that I know it's a live transfer.
That's a good tip.
Um, yeah. So then another thing to understand about these live transfers is the way I understand it is the health markets live transfers, the branded live transfers. These are people actively calling in from an ad they've seen or a phone number that they've seen somewhere. They're actively calling in looking for some kind of help. The difference is with the third party live transfers is that these, in a lot of cases, these are calls that either call centers or some kind of representative is dialing out, right? So they're calling these people, they're getting somebody on the line that's willing to talk, and then they transfer it to us, that agent, that licensed agent.
Mm,
So I know some of us have had confusion in the past where people are like, I want you to take me off your list, stop calling me, and you're thinking, well, you called me, and that's not
okay.
the case. They have been called and then transferred to us.
That's
Um,
really interesting. I did not realize that until you said that yesterday, that from the third party, there's like this call center calling them, initiating the call. And then when they get the person, a live one, on the phone, they're immediately transferring it to one of you. Now,
right.
that call center, are they saying something to that person?
Who knows? It all depends on the call center.
Like,
I
thanks
had
for
one.
calling. Let me connect you to an agent.
Yeah, I mean, I know in the past when they had those commercials running where they said, you may qualify for what was it, like $6,500 in
Oh, yeah.
cash. So they're getting people on the line and saying, hey, do you want $6,000 a month in cash? I
I
can.
will say, and thank you for mentioning that, because that actually was also somebody got a hold of one of my clients that's an ACA client,
Mhm.
right? And they responded to this. I don't they have some issues, so but they responded to that thinking it was something that they could benefit from. And what ended up happening is somehow they were able to get more information out of them, and this is where we were having the issues with them going into their marketplace application and
Right,
changing, but he didn't give them permission to.
right,
So that was one way of I'm going to say it's like flipping houses, right?
right. Exactly.
Terrible,
Yeah.
right? So
Flipping clients. Yeah.
interesting. So a third party, they call them and then they
Yeah. And
transfer
who
to us.
and who knows what that conversation is before they start? Who knows? What happens a lot of times also with these calls, because a lot of these live transfer calls, these are people that they already have insurance. Maybe they need help finding a provider. They need their ID card. Whatever the case is, they Google a number, like let's say they're looking for Melina. They Google Melina phone number. Um, Whatever pops up in Google, it may be a sponsored
Mm,
ad or something, they call
mhm.
that number. Well, if that's some kind of sponsored ad for that third party, they answer that call, talk to them. Oh yeah, let me get you to a live agent, and then they transfer it to us. So you're
Yeah.
thinking, well, they're not looking for it. They already have insurance. And we were just talking about this in this morning session. I think one of the most important things, and it's sometimes difficult. It's a struggle because you take one Medicaid call after another, um, or people looking for their Ambetter cards or whatever it is. You start to just say, let me get these people off the phone. I don't want to deal with them. I think anytime you have a live person on the phone that's willing to talk to you, keep talking to them, keep digging. There may be something there that you can help them with. Well, you're looking for your Ambetter card. You obviously don't have an agent. Can I become your agent of record so that I can help you with this and other things in the future? Do you have dental and vision now? Do you know you have group coverage? Do you know what your deductible is? Maybe they've got a high deductible, but they don't have cancer insurance. So there's a lot of things that we can help them with, and you keep digging. In a lot of cases, yeah, you may not get that, but it may turn into something down the road, or it may be
Mhm.
a situation where somebody says, yeah, I've got employer coverage, but they don't offer me dental and vision, and that is something I need. It
Mhm.
may turn into something. So don't just poo-poo if it's not somebody looking for an easy ACA enrollment right now.
Okay. So when you get a call that comes in, are you leaving your live transfers on?
No, no,
Okay,
no.
because I
You
think
got
that may be what sometimes is happening, is that you might be on a call with somebody and then your phone is ringing
it's
because
so
of your
annoying.
live
Yeah.
transfer, and then you are going to miss it, right? So,
So once you win a call, I immediately jump over to that lead connect screen and pause my live transfers so
mhm,
that so that the calls don't keep coming in, because it's difficult because you're on the call with somebody and your phone just keeps beeping. You keep getting these calls. Just pause the live transfers as soon as you win one.
that's a good idea. Yeah. So from last week, you shared the number of calls that came in on Thursday evening from 5 to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many was that? I,
Um, I'm not sure. I don't know how to
I
look that
think,
up. I,
let
I
me
like I
let me
said,
see.
what I'm
I
finding
think
on
it's pretty good.
average, but one important thing here, because some of you hear these numbers, like I'm getting 15 calls in 2 hours, and I'm winning 7 to 10 of them. I know some agents would hear that and be like, I sat there for 2 hours and I got one call. I'm fishing in a big lake, right? I have in my live transfers right now, I have 10 states turned on. So if you're working in only a few counties, you're just not going to get as many live transfers that are coming through to you. But because I'm working in 10 states, I'm pulling calls from all those different states. The other thing is, because I'm new, I'm very bottom tier. Um, the way that I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra, but the way that I understand it is, these live transfers, the
Yes, sir.
higher tiered agents get preference.
Well, and I'm not so sure if it's higher tiered or if it's the number that you've won, you get more.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
there is some type of algorithm. Now, I would
right,
imagine the tier level does have something to do with it, but I think also it's the number that is won.
okay,
So
okay.
somehow they're able to look at that and track that, I think, on the back end. So we do have a question in the chat. And like I said, feel free to come off and ask questions as it's appropriate too. But Casey was asking, how do you do the AOR change with a live transfer?
Can I share my screen?
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and allow you to do that because I think that'll be great. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So one of the things that I've heard,
Oh, can you make
and
that a little bit bigger?
oh yeah.
There you
One,
go. That's
one of the
better.
things that I've heard in several meetings is that the agent of record change is really quick and easy. You get somebody that wants to do an agent of record change, you just do a three-way call. That hasn't been my experience. What I've found is you have to go through the application. You have to go through the application, make sure everything's correct, and then select that plan, or if they already have that plan, obviously. Select that plan that they have, and then you call the marketplace to do the three-way call, but you do have to go through that application. So if I get somebody that's looking for like say they're 1095, well, before I can help you with this, I do need to be your agent of record. Now the benefits of being your agent of record is it's going to allow me to help you.
Provide better service.
Yeah, help you throughout the year. I can help you with your ID cards, any billing issues, help you find providers. It's 100% free to you. It's not going to affect your premium or coverage. So I go through this script that Silas had sent on how to do this agent of record change and talk to him about that. Once they agree to that, then I have to go through the you have to
Are you
send that ACA consent. Yeah.
right? That's what I was going to ask. Yep, you got to get their ACA consent, and you can do that and send it, electronically while you're on the phone and continue on. But as long as you've sent that, yep, and you're getting their consent.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the most important thing is, helping people understand why having me as their agent of record is going to be a benefit to them. A lot of times people are calling in and they think this is going to be a 5-minute phone call. This is not going to be a 5-minute phone call. If you need that 1095, or if you need your ID card, or if you need help with something and you want to talk to an agent, I can't help you unless I'm your agent of record. If you don't want to take the time to do that, here's the member services number, or here's the marketplace number. Go ahead and give them a call, and then I disposition them so that I can call them back during open enrollment, because
Mhm.
I know that this is somebody that has marketplace and they're going to need help during open enrollment.
Mhm.
Again, this is one of those situations where the live transfers may not pay off today. It may pay off tomorrow. They may
Mhm.
become my client down the road.
And you
So,
mentioned something that was really important right there, Justin, is dispositioning.
yeah.
And you might not be able to help them today, but make a note, disposition it that you will contact them and, towards the fall.
Right. So I think, as far as going through this script, explain to them the benefits of having me as their agent of record. Do that. And if they agree to it, then, I just let them know, hey, this is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes. Do you have time to do this now? Or can we schedule a follow-up call for later today or tomorrow?
Mhm. So
Um, it-
another question related to consent before we move on from that is if you are doing a three-way call with the marketplace and the client, do you still need to do the ACA consent form, or does that call with the client into the marketplace supersede having to send an ACA consent form?
So it's my understanding that we have to do an ACA consent form before we look up their application. Before we search the marketplace for their application, you have to have that ACA consent.
Yeah.
So,
So, and I would always err on the side of caution anyway and get their consent for the rest of the
yeah.
year.
Yeah, I won't even look up an application without a consent. And you can't do an agent of record change. You can't access that application, which you have to access the application and go through it to do the agent of record change. So yeah, you have to have that consent before you do any of that.
Are you sending the ACA consent form through the e-signature platform
Oh my
or?
gosh. This is the biggest struggle. We were talking about that this morning. The e-signature is a real struggle, especially with live transfers, because a lot of times these people are, they're calling in while they're driving, or they're at work, or they're chasing their dog or feeding their chickens. Who knows what they're doing? They're doing all kinds of
Mhm.
stuff, but they're not sitting in front of their computer like I am. So the e-signature is a struggle. So on my, let me see here. I've got
And if
on
you wouldn't
here.
mind, send this to me again,
Okay. So this
and I'll
is
make
my
sure.
fact finder. I built this myself. So
Mhm.
um so I just put this in, and I went through and did sent myself an e-signature so I could see what the client's seeing, so
Mhm.
that I could walk them through this. So I let them know they're going to get an email from Health Markets Insurance Agency via Adobe Acrobat Sign. The subject line is going to say signature requested on ACA consent form. When they open that email, they're going to click on that blue review and sign button. Now, when they open that up, they're going to see two boxes. The top box, they're going to enter their phone number. The bottom box, they're going to click to sign their name, and then they'll have the option to hit that submit button. One of the issues that I found out this morning was I need to add a little bit more here. If they've never done an e-signature, they're going to have to create that e-signature. So that's something I need to add to this, because a lot of times these people need help. They need to walk through step by step, and I say, okay, what are you seeing now? And
So
once
this
they
is
do
not
that
a
e-signature,
5-minute phone conversation.
no. No, so then if the e-signature fails, like if it's somebody that they're like, I can't do this, I don't know what to do. I'll pivot and I'll say, okay, let me send you an email. So I've got the ACA consent information where I can copy and paste it into the body of an email, and I ask them just to respond to this email that they consent. Still some problems with that because sometimes that will go to their spam folder. I'll say, check your spam folder. They'll say, I don't have one of those. Now, the last resort is I send them a text, and I haven't done that in a long time. I don't know, is that compliant? I copy and paste that into a text and have them. I was doing that during open enrollment because at some point I remember hearing we could do that, text that to them and have them respond.
I
And then
think the only thing I would probably say about that, and that's a great question, and I don't exactly know for sure, but I think if there was some way that I could save that or print it
I
out,
do
save it
I
as
do
a
a
screenshot and save
screenshot
it.
and then upload that to the CRM.
Yeah, I think that's probably, and saving that screenshot as a PDF, I think that would still work. I think that could be something that, somehow there should be a way to capture a voice consent, but I would imagine that would have to be recorded.
Right.
Yeah. So great questions, you guys. So out of the ones you did last Thursday and Friday, how many did you win?
Let's see here.
And I know we were talking yesterday about, well, how many actually came in that you missed, but how many were you able to win? And you weren't really able to see that type of information. But how many did you win?
Let me look that up real quick.
I think you said it was, I don't remember. I don't remember. I was trying to take notes. I think you won 6 in a 2-hour time frame.
That sounds right. On average, it's it seems to be in that 7. I win about 7 calls, so I win about half of the calls that come through.
And what states were you mostly getting calls from?
So the past couple of days, I'm getting calls from Ohio, Illinois, and Texas.
Ohio, Illinois, and Texas. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, and although I don't know if I can't recall if you said out of the 6 were any sales or potential sales or follow-ups for the next time.
I had a couple that I thought were close, and I was going through the details of the plan on one, and the plan that I was reviewing was just a little bit over her budget, and she's like, I'm gonna have to think about this, and yeah, so I'll follow up with her, but I nope, haven't had any sales yet. So a lot of the calls have been Medicaid and Medicare calls.
Okay, so when it's a Medicaid call, tell me a little bit about that. What are they looking for? Or do they know?
So they're a lot of different things. This morning we had a call where she had some issues with her dental for her daughter. So I asked her some questions.
Okay.
Here, I gave her information to contact
Okay.
Medicaid in her state, and I'll call back during OEP because, and I also with these Medicaid calls, Casey and I were talking about this morning. Is when you get a Medicaid call, don't just dump it. Don't just dump it, get rid of them. Get their information, get their name, get their date of birth. Most importantly, get their email address, because at some point, if they lose that Medicaid, I want to be the agent they're calling.
Yeah.
So I get their email. I'm going to follow up then with an email saying, "Hey, I just talked to you. My name's Justin. If
Mhm.
if anything changes, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm going to call back during open enrollment, see if anything's changed for you. I might be able to help you during open enrollment." I also send a text, so they've got my information two ways.
Okay.
Because just because they're in Medicaid doesn't mean they're going to be in Medicaid forever.
That is correct. And every state, we all go through this period where they're always adjusting the income guidelines and
Yeah.
also looking at assets and things like that in certain states really closely. And some do their redeterminations every 3 months. Some do them every 6 months. So it is really crazy. And a redetermination is where they're looking at the client's information on the back end and then sending them saying, hey, you need to send us updated income information or whatever. And so it is very possible that even during the middle of the year, they will be termed from their Medicaid coverage, especially for like your hourly people. And their income fluctuates from week to week, month to month. And the other problem we have with Medicaid and ACA eligibility is Medicaid looks at it from a monthly income standpoint purely. Okay. And I could have made $80,000 this year, but then I lost my job. So what's my income now if I lost my job? It's zero, right? I don't have anything else maybe. So I could technically apply and probably be approved for Medicaid, right?
The,
That's technicality. And the ACA looks at it as an estimated annual income. So we're comparing apples and oranges, which in my former policy life, I tried to advocate, can't we get the two to align together? But
the other thing is, different states, Medicaid works differently as
it
far, like you
does.
said, as far as, um, who will qualify. Some people have to
Mhm.
pay for Medicaid.
Yes.
And
And then,
what
or
they're,
they have a spend down.
okay, I don't know what that is, but
Yeah, that's all
just
right.
one more thing to learn.
No,
Um,
you don't need to know all the details about
right.
Medicaid. I'm sorry, and because it spits out of my brain here automatically. But knowing that, hey, you know what, you have questions about this, let me make sure I get your information, because if your situation changes, I want to make sure you have somebody here to help you, right? So
Right.
question about um, I'm reading your question, Maggie. What are you going over with them when you look them up on healthcare.gov before you do the three-way call?
For me, I start that conversation with, do you have health insurance currently? And if that answer is yes, a lot of times these people, they don't know the difference. They interchange Medicaid, Medicare, Marketplace.
Mhm.
One of the calls that I had this morning, the guy was saying, yeah, I have Marketplace. I think he said he had Molina Marketplace. Um, and it was, they were canceling it. And I was asking him, why are they canceling it? He didn't have the information in front of him. And he said, I don't know, it was something about, and A, B, A, B, or C. And,
Uh,
I was like, okay, well, it's
yeah.
probably Medicare then.
Yeah.
So um, if somebody has a problem with their marketplace plan, um, and they're not sure, they're not real clear on what's going on, I'll get some basic information like their name, their date of birth, their email address, what state they're in, that information that I need to look up their marketplace plan. And I'll say, but before we get in too deep here, let's figure out, do you have a marketplace plan? Are you currently enrolled in a plan? I'll send the ACA consent, and then what I do is I go right to healthcare.gov. I don't do this through Health Sherpa, because healthcare.gov is going to give me more information in a different way than a Health Sherpa is going to do. So I'll go to healthcare.gov, look up their application. I can see if they're currently enrolled in a plan. I can
Okay,
see if they.
so I'm going to pause you there. So when you say, are you going into healthcare.gov through the Agent Connect backdoor portal?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure was clear, because if you just type in a web browser, healthcare.gov,
Yeah, it's not going to take you there.
it's not going to take you there. So
You
you're connecting to the marketplace through your quote Connect dashboard. So does everybody, just by a raise of hands, I was going to say, just show them really quick what the dashboard looks like.
So yeah,
Just
so
to
when you
make sure
go to
everybody, because we got some very new people on.
when you go to Quote Connect, you'll see go to Marketplace. If you click on that, you put in their zip code. And you'll have to do the click on the login, and then you get the
you have to go to your email to get that verification, because what's happening is it's linking your profile to the CMS portal.
Right. So then once you're in there, you can search for an application. You put in the year, the state, first name, last name, date of birth.
Date of birth. That's all
check
you
that
need.
box. You got to check that box. And yeah, you don't need the social security number. You don't need the application ID. Just first name, last name, and date of birth. Check that box, search, and it'll bring up their applications if they have one. If an application doesn't show up, make sure you've got the correct last name. Like if they say, yeah, my name's Tom Smith, and you put in Tom Smith, if it's Thomas Smith on the application, Tom Smith may not, you're not going to get that application.
Also, if that person is not the primary person on the application, that could be too, is your spouse the one that's on the primary on the application? Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Then you have to make sure you got that information.
Right. So then once I see what's going on with if I see they're already enrolled in a plan, like last week I had a guy that I went through the process. I pitched the AMBET or standard silver because he said he didn't have coverage. He lost Medicaid. And so I went through it. He loved the plan. It was going to be a $0 plan. He had that low income special enrollment. I go to Health Sherpa and search the marketplace, and I found an application, and he's already enrolled in an AMBET or standard silver.
Oh,
like, well, I guess you're good to go. Let's talk about dental and vision and accident critical illness now.
So that is good to do. You're kind of validating. Okay, let's make sure we know what you have in place or don't have in place. And the other thing is that they do get confused with the 3 M's: Medicare, Medicaid, and Marketplace, right? And you have these insurance carriers that have products in all 3 lines of business.
Now, that guy that I was just talking about, I told him, obviously you don't know who your agent was. If you have any problems, if you have any issues, I want to be able to help you with that. So let's go through that application real quick. Make me your agent of record so that I can help you out the rest of this year as well as open enrollment. He's like, well, I'm at work right now. Can we do this later? So he probably won't call me back. I'll try calling him again later today.
Do you take the opportunity, rather than him calling you back, do you take the opportunity just to say, hey, okay, let's schedule an appointment? A time that works best for you, so that I want to make sure that we get this taken care of correctly for you.
Yeah.
And that you have no issues. So I wouldn't wait for them to call me back. I would okay, let's make an appointment.
Yeah.
What time works better for you? When do you get off of work?
Right.
Yeah. So Maggie, I don't know if that answers your question about what we're looking for on healthcare.gov, but I think one of the primary things is we're just validating what plan they actually do have.
So another thing that I had mentioned, Sandra, was a headset.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I kind of struggle. Well, my wife says I have a hard time hearing. I don't think I have a hard time as
I think that's selective.
but I do struggle. Like if I have somebody on speakerphone, um, I don't hear them as well. If a client has me on speakerphone and they're driving and the windows are down, it's hard to hear them, especially if I'm working in Texas and they've got that really strong Texas accent or Georgia. It's hard to understand them. So I want them to be able to hear me clearly. That's why I use a headset, because if I'm on speakerphone, they're going to struggle hearing me. With the headset, they can hear me much better. Also, having the headset, I'm able to hear them better. So I think working with a headset is beneficial with these live transfers.
Okay. So, and I know that several of you don't have your cameras on. So if you can turn your camera on, please do that. Appreciate that. And, oh, but if you're driving, be safe. Okay. And, Casey, I know you were on, has anybody else been on a session with Justin? Great. What were some of the nuggets that you came away with, Kaleo?
Him getting the email every time. That's probably like the most I took out of it was that's pretty awesome. Every time they said they were going to go on Medicaid, he was like, okay, well, do you get kicked off uh during open enrollment? I'll take your email down right now, and if you need any help during open enrollment, I'll help you out there. So that's the biggest thing I took away.
Okay, great. Jim, what was the biggest thing you took away so far?
Well, when you're think about getting prepared to do live transfers for the first time, all your focus is in on the actual plans. Do you understand them? Can you get them through the application? And um, while none of that has happened, but yet there's a whole another door of questions that Justin has walked people through, and that wasn't even on my radar. So now it's like, okay, well, now
Yeah,
I got to be prepared for what to do when there's a question about Medicaid, when there's a question,
yeah,
know if they're on the marketplace, and so
yeah.
it's very helpful. It's like stacking bricks on top of each other.
Yeah, so disclaimer, Justin has had some exposure to all of this before too, from like a call center. So, and as over time, when you're experiencing these different types of things, right, we just build our knowledge base. We're always learning. Look at me, I'm still learning. I don't know what I'm doing today, but I'm still learning, right? So, Casey, you've been on a couple and you've done a couple, right? Tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, so I mean, one, watching Justin was definitely beneficial to me. One thing that he was doing great at today when I was watching, and that I know I need to improve on, is treating every single call as a future prospect. Like he was saying before, whether it's Medicaid or not, getting the information and making sure that you're, getting their email address so you drip market them so that they think of you when they are off Medicaid. Um, I mean, that's a big one for me. I have had a tendency in the past to maybe get a little fed up with some of my live transfers and just been like, here's Melina's phone number. I need to get on to the next one. Um,
Mm-hmm,
but treating them all as a future prospect is a really big part of it, and making sure you get enough information that you
mm-hmm.
can market them into the future has been a big one as well.
That's
Also just seeing how Justin handled some of the ACA stuff. I mean, I would say he's definitely more experienced than I am in navigating some of these nuances of the ACA.
mm-hmm.
Like I've never once pulled up the affordability calculator, and he was explaining that to us a little bit in, the session this morning. So I'm definitely gaining a lot from it. There is a tendency when you're taking live transfers to get calls from people who don't want or need your help in that moment exactly. And figuring out how to turn those lemons into lemonade is
Yeah.
definitely a skill that takes a little bit of work. And,
Mm-hmm.
Justin had a great example of what I referred to as, like a transitional selling attempt this morning. They were on Marketplace. They didn't need help right now necessarily. But he said, "Hey, does your plan? Are you currently offered dental and vision?" You know, he took that step to make it into something for himself in that situation that I
Mhm.
am sometimes not doing the best.
And I know for, especially if you're new and let's say they are interested in dental or other supplemental coverage and they're willing, it sounds like they're willing to work with you and you're brand new, you know, maybe what you want to say to them is, you know, great, let me gather a little bit more information. I want to do some homework so that I'm finding some options that are going to be most appropriate for your needs, and then schedule a call back. And then your sales leader, myself, we're willing to help you then kind of look at how do we put together a proposal for them if you need that kind of assistance. So,
I think that's a really big part for the new people too. I am a person who likes to be prepared. Um,
mhm,
I hate not knowing the answer when the question comes up. I hate not feeling like the expert in the room in some of these situations, and that's something I've certainly had to get over.
okay.
Uh, yeah, people don't, none of us know everything. So taking that pause and saying, hey, let's get back to this, let's set an appointment, and then
Mhm.
getting some feedback from someone more experienced has been
The
big for.
I guess the one thing I would say about that is these live transfers, if you don't do a one call close with these live transfers, they're gonna close with the next agent that calls them. And it doesn't I mean, I'm going through this with Medicare right now. Like it's so overwhelming. There's so much information. Like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And I had the same thought when I started with ACA. I was so nervous for that first application. But you know, it's like they say, you just got to embrace the suck and just suffer through it. Get through
I'm gonna
that.
get Steve Cavanjola a shirt that says that. You've all been through training with him or will be, and that is one of our favorite sayings. You just got to embrace the suck. So I'm gonna, don't tell
Yeah.
him this, but I'm going to get him a t-shirt, an
If
orange t-shirt that says embrace the suck.
if somebody doesn't have health insurance, anything that you're offering them, especially if it's an ACA plan, it's better than what they have. So get through that application, struggle through it. The first time you go through it is going to be awkward and painful, but once you go through it once or twice, everything starts making sense.
Yeah.
And I think the more times that you say, all right, let's schedule a call back, and let me go through this, I think you're just risking not being able to close that because they're going to close with somebody else. Just go through it. Just get it done.
And
If
one
if
tip,
they're willing.
yeah, if they're willing. And one tip that if you know, like if this is the first application you're doing and you've got this person on the phone and you've never really been in the application process before, just say, hey, you know what? It looks like they've changed some things on the application form. So let me take this slowly with you, make sure we do this correctly. And they'll appreciate that. So that gives you time to breathe and to read the questions. Okay, let's make sure we're doing this correctly. You know, so question in the chat from Maggie as a follow-up. So is there anything you do within the application to get the AOR to go more smoothly? When doing the three-way call, some people who work for the marketplace just go through the entire application for an AOR and some don't.
I,
That is so true.
I've heard from different agents that when they call in for the three-way call, if the representative wants to go through that application, they just hang up and call back again and get a different representative. I think, you know, when you call in, you say the application's done. We don't need to go through the application again. All we're doing is the agent of record change. So we just need to verify this. And you know, as long as you make that clear, a lot of these representatives, they won't go through the entire application. I have had it happen before where the representative's like, well, I need to do this. And it really depends on the client if they're willing to stay on the line, or if I don't know. I've never really felt as comfortable just hanging up and calling back. So I'll go through it. But as
Well,
far as smooth, I mean,
I wish it
the,
was smooth.
not, it's rare that I like when I get done with an application and it was smooth and there were no glitches and it went quick and everything was easy and the client was agreeable with everything. And at the end of that call, I'm always like, okay, what was wrong? Because that was way too easy.
Yeah, yeah. So I just insist that, no, we've already done the application. You don't need to go through the application with them. They are already in a plan. We just need to make sure that they have requested, they're on the phone, they want me as their agent of record. If you can't help me with that, put me through to another representative. But there is, so in that type of situation also though, you know, in like your complicated cases, we have a dedicated broker help desk to call. We're not calling the 1-800-318-2596 number.
One comment that I had so Casey was on this morning's meeting.
Mhm.
I got a call from somebody who had, I'm trying to remember now, Casey, that I think she thought it was a United Healthcare marketplace plan. It turned out that it was Medicare that she has. And she was 60 years old, I think, or unless I'm getting confused with the guy, but because it was Medicare, because I'm not doing Medicare yet, because I don't have those appointments in place yet. What I told her was, I'm gonna send you the phone number. I'm going to give you the phone number of an agent. I gave her Casey's phone number.
Mhm.
So she called Casey, and Casey's able to help her. And that's the one thing we
Wonderful.
were talking about in this morning's meeting is you're going to come across Medicare calls. If you're not working Medicare, don't just move on. Pass them on to a health markets agent, either your sales leader or somebody within, close to you. Pass them on, and you have to give them that agent's phone number. You can't have the agent call them.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know. Now, Justin, what are the hours that you feel have been beneficial for receiving calls? Mornings, afternoons, certain time frames? What are you finding?
Well, first of all, I'm not a morning person, so I was concerned about how these morning sessions were going to go. But I had a lot of coffee before it, so I think I was awake. I think morning from I've heard some agents do like 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I'll do like an 8 to 10, and then in the evenings, anything after 5, 5 to 9, 5 to 10. Like if you got states like Arizona, 10 o'clock is here, is 7 o'clock there. Anywhere between 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, these are people that aren't working. What are they doing? They probably have Medicaid. A lot of these are Medicaid calls. So I think that early morning, and especially in the evening, this is when people are home from work, they're trying to get stuff taken care of personally, and those are going to be your best bets.
Sounds good. So we've got about 10 minutes left. This has been great, Justin. Are there other questions or experiences that any of you have had? Lauren, have you taken some live transfer calls, I think?
I have, yeah. For me, I think I work best just talking to the person, getting to know them on the phone. But I do really want to try these scripts and see how they work. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Okay.
I did most of my live transfers during open enrollment.
But I
But
think we're gonna see, probably more come through at that point anyway, right? Because there's just a flurry of activity that happens during that time with commercials and things like that as well. So
one thing I would say about the scripts is, I think my personality, when I'm on the phone, I feel like, and I know I am, especially compared to somebody like Lauren, I'm very robotic. I don't have a lot of personality.
that's not true.
I would much rather talk to Lauren than myself. But one of the dangers of the scripts is I think a new agent will follow the script too close, line by line.
Mm.
And I think, like Lauren said, is be conversational,
Yes.
be personable. Try to have a conversation with these people, and it lets them know that you're here to help and answer their questions.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're following a script, it's just very robotic.
Yeah, and anytime you have a script, even like, the presentation for life, if you're doing that, don't read it, don't read the slides, don't read the script as you're doing it,
The,
make it conversational. But this is where on your off time, read it. What does
yeah,
it say? What is it asking? Get a sense of the flow. You're going to tweak it. You're going to make it your own, right? But
the script is just a roadmap. It keeps
it's
you on
just a
track.
roadmap. Yep, roadmap like that. Excellent.
One other thing is the IVRs.
Yes, let's
So
talk about that. What is an IVR and what is it in the lead order? Those are
so
your
the
inbound
that's going to be
inquiries.
yep, that's going to be the inbound inquiries. The way this works, the way I understand it is, if a live transfer comes through and it's not taken, nobody wins it, nobody takes it. That is then sent as an inbound inquiry. It comes through an Agent Connect as an IVR. So this is somebody that has called in, or the transfer has been attempted and it wasn't taken. So Zach Spalding gave me his process, and I found it to be really helpful. What I was doing was I was calling the IVRs and leaving a message. What Zach does is he'll call the IVR. If they don't answer, he hangs up and he calls back immediately a second time. A lot of times then what I've found is they're answering on that second call. If they don't answer on the second call, then I'll leave a message and then I'll send a text.
Okay. So if you need help with setting up your live order transfers or your health inbound inquiries, those orders, let me know. I'm happy to help you do that. Lauren asked, do you know if we can make connections with Medicaid agents to send people to that person and vice versa? I've tried with a few and I haven't had any luck. Are they not allowed to for some reason? They aren't assigned. That just doesn't work that way, Lauren. There's a phone number that they call. They can actually go to their local Division of Family Resources or Medicaid office if they need assistance. But there's no one person that you would probably transfer them to. Yeah, go ahead.
So on the Resource Center, we have the Medicaid contact list.
Do you want to share your screen if you pulled it up?
Yeah.
And there are local offices and there are state numbers.
I'm not sure where to find it on here.
Oh,
but
okay. Well, type in.
So if you just go up to the search and type in Medicaid, it's the first one that comes up here, Medicaid contact info, and it shows every state, their website and their phone number.
That is the state office number. That is not their local number.
Okay.
So, but that still would help.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Any other questions?
I think I know the answer to this, but in the chat talks about the marketplace designated number. That's to the marketplace, right? That's
Yes. So
it's Health Markets special.
No, it's not special to Health Markets. This is the Health Insurance Marketplace. This is CMS, and they have a dedicated line to help agents and brokers.
Okay.
Across the country. So it's not a Health Markets line. This is a marketplace.
But okay,
service.
right. But they tend to know more about, they deal with agents.
They deal with agents.
As opposed to the general, not dealing with the general public.
Correct. Other questions? Well, if not, we're going to have a little bit of a gift of time, but Justin, before we end our call today or our meeting today, when is your next session for the rest of this week? I think you've got some tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yeah, so I'll be doing tomorrow night from 5 to 7, Thursday from 8 to 10, and Friday from 5 to 7. I find that Friday evenings are good times. And there's a couple of reasons I find Friday evenings to be good is because who wants to work on a Friday evening? I know a lot of agents aren't working on Friday evenings, so I've got more potential to win those calls, first of all. The other thing is it's the end of the week. People are home. They're like, all right, I got to get this taken care of, especially as we're coming towards the end of the month. You're going to see more people wanting to make decisions and make something happen to start on July 1st. So Friday evenings and Saturday mornings are great times.
Excellent. That's good to know. Gosh, I appreciate that. Well, if there are no other questions, first of all, Justin, thank you so much for doing this today and for hosting these sessions for the rest of us. It's been invaluable to learn your insights on this.
I wish
Don't sell yourself short.
I wish people could witness a successful pitch and sale, but
it will happen. You know what? And
yeah.
sometimes we're planting seeds, right? And we are being of service to them in some way. And if not now, maybe later. Right? So appreciate you guys today. Have a wonderful week. If you need anything at all, I know the sales leaders are out doing whatever they're doing in Texas, right? And some of the other agents too. But if you need any help, I'm here this week. I will not be here next week. So that's my time to go have some fun. So, all right, guys, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.